This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So in the last couple of sessions, we have seen how to create the database table fields by using direct data types. So this is the table we have created in ABAP Dictionary SC11. This is a table we created Z830 EMP, which contains 3 columns, and all these 3 fields we have created by using what direct data type. And then keeping end user in mind, what we have done, we have generated the table maintenance for this particular database table. So before we generate the table maintenance, we ensured that we have one function group available and authorization group. Authorization group we don't know how to create, so we gave the authorization group as ampersand NC ampersand, which indicates without authorization group, any user can maintain the table. And while generating the table maintenance, we have to provide what maintenance type. So if you go to utilities, table maintenance generator, the maintenance type is what? One step. Okay. And we understood that in one step, only one screen gets generated called as what? Overview screen. We propose the screen number and we have generated the table maintenance. When the table maintenance is successfully generated, we understood that some dependent objects gets generated. The dependent objects will be in the form of function modules, screens, subroutines, include programs, all those things. Okay. And those dependent objects get stored in the function group which we provided at the time of generating the table maintenance. And once the table maintenance is generated, the end user can start maintaining the table using the transaction code what SM30. So the end user can go to SM30 and he has to provide the table name here and click on the maintain button and he can start maintaining the table. For minimizing the navigations, what we have done, we have created the T code for the table maintenance. So the agenda of creating the T code for table maintenance is to bypass to skip the initial screen of this table maintenance. So since we are going to skip the initial screen, we need to provide this particular table name and the function code of the button as a default value. So we collected the name of this IO field by pressing F1 on this input field. Okay, we collected the technical information. The name of the screen field is view name, and the function code of this maintain button is what? Something UPD. Then we created a T code using SC93 and we have generated the we have created the T code by providing the default values. And what is the drawback we have seen? If you create the table fields by using direct data types, we cannot generate any column headings. So it would be difficult for the end user to understand what that column represents. And another limitation is the character values which are we enter, it is always captured in what? Uppercase. It is always captured in uppercase. And apart from that, I cannot impose any validations like fixed values. Okay, like suppose employee designation is there. Employee designation should be either manager, supervisor, or employee. If I enter other than those values, it should not accept. So we expect that in the form of drop down. So those kind of validations I cannot import, I cannot impose while creating the table fields by using direct data types. So to overcome these limitations, it is always recommended to create the table fields by using what data elements and what domains. Data elements and domains. Okay. So let us create one more table with what same 3 columns: employee number, employee name, employee designation. I want to create those fields by using what? Data elements and domains. Okay. So let us create the table as what? Client dependent table. Client dependent table. Earlier table what we create is client independent. So let us create it as client dependent table. Okay. Right. So before we create, we have to analyze the fields. Like I want to create employee number, employee name, employee designation. For employee number, let us give it as integer. Employee name designation is what? Character. So whether we create the table fields by using direct data types or by using data elements and domains, the minimum settings that we configure will be same. Okay. So let us create that. I'll go to ABAP dictionary, right? So here we have to provide the table name. Since it is a custom table, let me start with the Z. I'll give the name of the table as something Z830 underscore EMP. As I told you earlier, the table name cannot contain spaces. The table name cannot contain any special characters like hyphen, at the rate, all those things. So we can have underscore if you want. So I'll give the table name as Z830 underscore EMP. One second, please. Right, so this is a table name. Let us click on create button. Okay, so short description. I'll give a short description as something employee table or employee data. And as usual, in delivery and maintenance, we have to provide the delivery class. Since it is our own table, let us give the delivery class as something C, which indicates what? Customizing table. So I'll choose customizing table. Right, so delivery class is C, which indicates customizing table. I'll go for display maintenance allowed, done. Then in the fields tab, let us create this table as client dependent table. Client dependent means what? Which should contain MA and DT as a first field. So I'll give the column name as MA and DT. Understood? So what is the data type of this field should be? This field should store the client number. So we know in SAP client is a 3-digit number. Client is a 3-digit number. Okay. Right. So client is a 3-digit number. So I have to give the data type as what? Client. So how do we give it? This is a field name MANDT. Okay. So here, if you see, I want to create this by using what? Data element. Suppose if you go for what? Predefined type. If you go for predefined type, I can choose predefined type. I can give the data type as what? CLNT, nothing but what? Client. So if I press enter, automatically I got the length as 3 because client is a 3-digit number. But I don't want to create this table fields by using direct data type. Let us create by using what? Data element. So I'll go to data element level, right? Okay, so here we need to give the what? Data element. One second, please. Right. So let me remove this one second. I'll go to predefined type. I'll remove this data type. I'll remove this size also. Let us create by using what? Data element. So I'll choose data element. right? So here I have to give the data element. So what is a data element? First of all, is a data element is a reusable dictionary object. Data element is a reusable dictionary object which provides description for the field. Understood? A data element is a reusable dictionary object which provides a description for the field, and that description will automatically appear on the screens wherever that data element is referred. Okay, so what is the meaning? A data element is a reusable dictionary object which provides description for the field. That description will appear automatically wherever that particular data element is referred. Okay, so the meaning of that is, suppose we know some standard tables. Suppose if I go to SC11, I'll go to a table like KN1 table. Okay, I'll go to KN1 table, one of the standard table. So observe this here. We are MANDT. What is the data element they give? MANDT. What is the definition I told for a data element? A data element is a reusable dictionary object. Reusable means what? Once it is available, once it is created, I can use it at different places in what SAP system. That's why it is not reusable. Just like a table is reusable, a function module is a reusable. Okay, so a data element will be associated with the description. Where we can see the description? Observe here. If I double click on this data element, okay, at the we are in the data element screen now. In the data element level, if you go to field label, we have some field labels, short label, medium, long, and some heading. These labels will automatically appear wherever we use this particular data element. Suppose I'll go back, I'll take another field here, KURNR. What is the data element here? KURNR. If I double click on this data element, in the field label, this is a label available. So this label will appear automatically wherever we refer to what? This particular data element. Similarly, we have land1. What is the data element here? Land1 underscore GP. If I double click on this data element, again at this data element we have some label. So what I'm trying to show is every data element will be associated with a field label. That label will appear automatically. That label will appear automatically wherever this particular data element is referred. Okay, so let's see how to create our own data element. So I want to create my own data element. One second. Yeah, so if you go back to our table, yeah, this is the table. So instead of we creating the data element, I can use a standard data element. Just like we know, in SAP system, we have many standard database tables, standard report programs, standard function models. Similarly, we have what? Standard data elements. One of the data element provided by SAP is what? MANDT. So I'll give the data element as MANDT. Why I'm not creating my own data element? Because already I'm having a data element given by SAP, which I can reuse. Unnecessarily, why I should create another data element? That's the reason I'm reusing the existing data element. So if I press enter, what is the data type I got here? Client, and what is the size here? 3. So this is a standard data element. Since this is standard data element, it is not starting with what? Z or Y. Okay, right. So this is one field. What is the other field I want to create? EMP number. You can give any name. Here data element. Right, so I want to earlier I used what? The standard data element given by SAP. Here also I can use the existing data elements. Right, suppose I'll give the data element as ZEMP number. ZEMP number. So since it is starting with Z, So what is the meaning? It is a custom data element. So if I press enter, if this data element is already available, I might have created this data element in the earlier batches. If it is already available, it will show the data type and size here. If it is not available, it will prompt you to create the data element. It will prompt you to create the data element. Understood? So what I'll do is I'll press enter. I'll press enter. It is showing you what? Data type and size. So what is the meaning? This is a data element which I might have created in the earlier batches. Suppose if I double click on this data element, save it before leaving. I'll save this particular table in the local object. Here you can see this is a data element. I gave some domain. We don't know what is domain, leave it. But at this data element level, I am having some field label. I am having some field label. So I can make use of this particular data element, which I have created in the earlier batches. But let me go for a new data element. I'll go for a new data element so that we can understand the process of creation. Okay, I can use this, but since we need to understand how to create the custom data elements, I am recreating. Let me give the name as something ZEMP underscore number. Understood? I'll press enter. If I press enter again, I got a warning on the status bar. Type and length of the field are changed. Continue. Yeah, it is also there. This ZEMP underscore number is also already there. Okay, so I'll give one thing Z employee number. Z employee number. I'll press enter. Yeah, it is not there. So I got the message in the status bar. Z employee number is not active. Understood? It is not active. Okay, right. So since it is not available, let us create it. Am I clear? So I'll double click on that. I'm going very slowly because it's the first time we are trying to create. Okay, so I'll double click on this data element. Since it is not there, I have to create this. When I double click, it is asking me to save. Create the data element is not available. Create the data element. Yes. Yeah, short description. You can give any description. Let me give the description as something employee number. Right. So what we are trying to do now, we are trying to create the data element. So a data element can be created either by referring to a direct data type or by referring to a domain. I repeat, a data element can be created either by referring to a direct data type or by referring to a domain. Understood? So here you can see we are in the process of creating the data element. So you can see in the data type tab, we have two radio buttons, domain and predefined type. We are basically elementary type and reference type. In elementary type, we have domain and predefined type. At this stage, we don't know domain. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to create this data element by using what predefined data types. I'll just choose the radio button what predefined type. It is asking me the data type and what size. But generally, recommendation is to create the data elements by referring to what domain. So why it is recommended, we'll understand shortly. So I'll choose what predefined type. I'll give the data type. So what is the data type you want for employee number? Integer only, na? So I'll just browse this. I'll give the data type as what int 4. When I press enter, I got the length as automatically as what 10. Fine. Now, what is the definition I told? A data element is a reusable dictionary object which provides a description for the field, and that description will automatically appear on all the screens wherever that data element is referred. So how do you maintain the description? How do you maintain the label? As part of field label tab, I can maintain the description. I can maintain short label, medium label, long and heading. I can maintain all the labels, or I can maintain either of the labels. Suppose here I'll give the short label, I'll not give a short label, I'll give only medium label. Let me give it as something employee number. So since I'm maintaining only medium label, this medium label will appear in all the places wherever the data element is used. Understood? But if you want to give different labels at a different screen levels, I can maintain what? All these labels. But if you maintain only one label, that label will appear automatically wherever we refer to this particular data element. So it's our wish whether you want to maintain all these different labels or only one label. I'll go for only one label, what? Medium label. So what you have done now, in the data element creation screen, in the data type tab, I created this data element by referring to the direct data type. Okay. And in the field label, I maintained one of the label. There are other tabs which will talk later on as and when required during the course. Okay. So leave it. So whatever is required at this stage, we are discussing. So I went for data type and I went for what? Field label. Done. So we are done with the data element creation. Data element also is a separate object. Is a separate object. Understood? Is a separate object. So what I'll do here, I need to save this data element also separately. So save it. Right. Check for the syntax error. Activate this. Observe this carefully. Data element also is getting saved as a separate object. So what is the data element? Z employee number. What is the object type it is showing here? DTL. DTL indicates what? Data element. TABL indicates what? Table. Okay. Right. So let it be data element. Continue. So data element is successfully created and activated. Go back. So what you have done? We created this data element by referring to what? Direct data type. Done. Let me create another column, ename. Okay, so I'll give the data element as something z ename. Z ename. I'll press enter. If this data element is already available, if the data element is already available, I'll get the data type and what? The size. If it is already available, I might have created in the earlier batches. So I'll press enter. Yeah, I'm getting the data type and size. So what is the meaning? It is already available. Can I use it? Yes, I can use it. But once again, let me go for a non-existing data element so that we can see the process once again. Every time I need not create, but since we are at very beginning of creating this data element, I'm creating new data element. So I'll give the data element name as, you can give any name. Since it is a custom data element, make sure that it starts with Z or Y. So I'll give Z employee number or Z employee name. Z employee name. I'll press enter. Yeah, it is saying that it is not active, means it is not available. So let us create this particular data element. How do you create? Double click and create. So if you double click, okay, save it, yes. Right, create the data element, yes. Yeah, I'll provide the description, some description, done. So earlier, acha, when I press enter, what is saying here? Neither a domain nor a data type was what? Defined. So earlier what you have done, we have created the earlier data element by referring to what? Direct data type. This data element also I can create by using direct data type. So in the data type tab, I can choose what? Predefined type. Here I can provide the data type and what? Length. I can provide the data type and what? Length. Am I clear? So what is the data type you want to give for this character? Na? So I can browse this and I can choose what? Character of, since it is character, we have to give the size. I'll give the size is 25. So I can do like this, not an issue. But you'll have the same problem again. What is the problem we have seen yesterday? The character field values are always captured in uppercase. Na? Whether you give in lowercase or combination, it is getting stored always in what? Uppercase. So if I do like this here, if I create the data element by referring to direct data type, you'll have the same issue. So I want to address that issue. So what I'll do is, since it is a character field, I better create this data element by referring to what domain. Understood? So I'll remove this. I'll remove this, right? So what I'll do now, I'll try to create this data element by referring to what domain. Understood? If it is a numeric field, yes, I can directly go to this. I can give the database integer or whatever it is. But if it is a character field, you'll have the problem. No? So better I go for what? Domain. Earlier data element also I can create by using what? Domain. It's our wish. So I'll go for domain, right? So what is a domain means? A domain is also a reusable dictionary object which stores the technical properties of the field like data type and what size. I repeat, a domain is a reusable dictionary object which stores the technical properties of the field like data type and what size. So what I'll do now, I have to give the domain name. So since I want to go for a custom domain, I'll start with what? Z. Just like standard table, standard data elements, we may have standard domains also. But I'm going for what? A custom domain. So I'm starting with Z. So I'll give the domain name as ZE name. So if I press enter, if this domain is already available, I'll get the data type and size. Otherwise, it will ask you to create the domain. The domain name and data element name can be same or it can be different. It can be same or different. In this case, it is different. I'll press enter. Yeah, it is saying that no active domain available. So I can double click, I can create it. Understood? Or I can give the same name, Z employee name. The domain name and data element name can be what? Same. It's our wish. So I'll press enter. It is also saying what? No active domain available. So let us create the domain. Understood? We are not yet done with creating the data element. What is the status here? New. Okay, so first I'll create the domain. Understood? I'll create the domain, I'll activate the domain, then I'll come back and activate the data element, and before that I'll give the label also. Okay, so I'll double click on the domain. Understood? I'll double click on the domain. Right, the table is changed. You want to save it? Yes. Let us save this data element in local object. Create the domain? Yes. Provide some description as it is a mandatory field. Yeah. So for this domain, I'll give the data type as what? Something character of something 25. Character of 25. Right? So what I'll do at that in the definition tab only, in the definition tab only, we have what? A checkbox what? Lowercase. In the domain level, in the definition tab, we have checkbox lowercase. I'll select the checkbox what? Lowercase. What is the meaning of this lowercase checkbox? It will retain the case sensitivity. If I enter in lowercase, it will capture in lowercase. If I enter in uppercase, it will capture in uppercase or vice versa. Or whatever format I entered, the same format will be retained. Lowercase doesn't mean that it will store in lowercase. No. In whatever case we enter, that case will be retained. So that is the reason it is recommended to create the character fields by referring to domain, so that at the domain level we have the provision to select the checkbox what? Lowercase. Done. Okay. So what is the status of the domain here? New. Let me save it. Check for the syntax error. Right. Activate the domain. Right. So we are trying to activate what domain? What is the object type it is saying? DOMA. Okay. Continue. Right. So domain is what? Activated. I'll go back. Right. The data element is still what? New. Na? So at the data element level, you have to maintain some description. Na? So I'll go to what? Field label. I'll maintain some what? Description like employee name. Employee name. Okay. Here I'll give the short something EMP name. Understood? Or I'll give the short as something E name. Okay, medium label I'll give it as something EMP name. I'll give the long as something employee name. Okay, I'll give the heading as something employee name. Understood? So wantedly I'm giving different labels for this data element. For the earlier data element, I maintained only what? I maintained only what? Medium label. For this data element, wantedly I am maintaining multiple labels, short, medium, long editing. Okay, done. So save this data element, check for the syntax error, activate your data element. Yes, data element is activated. I'll go back. Right, so we are done with the data element creation. So I'll repeat once again. For the first field, I refer to what? A standard data element. If I double click on this standard data element is referring to a standard domain what? MINDT. Okay. For the second field, I created a custom data element, and I created this data element by referring to what? Direct data type. I have not created by using domain. And for this data element, I maintain only one medium label only. Then I create another field with referring to a data element. This data element I created by referring to a domain, so that at the domain level, I have the option to select the checkbox at lowercase, so that we can address that character issues. Okay, in whichever case we enter, that case will be retained. Activated the domain, and for this data element, I maintained multiple labels, activated the data element, and I came back. Right? Any questions up to this point? Okay, right. So let me create another field. I'll create another field EMP desig. I'll give the data element as something ZEMP desig. I don't know whether it is already available or not available. I'll press enter. Yes, it is not available. So I can create this what? Data element. Okay, just to maintain the uniformity, I'll give the data element as Z employee desig, because other things I'm starting with Z employee. Just to maintain the uniformity, I'm giving this name. Right. So Z employee designation. I'll press enter. Yeah, what is saying here? The data element is not active. So let us double click and create this. Double click on the data element. Yes. Create the data element. Yes. I'll provide some description. Right. And this data element also I better create by using what? Domain, because designation is obviously character. Na? So at the domain level, you have the option to select the checkbox. So I'll go for what? Domain. Understood? You can maintain the label and then you can create the domain, or create the domain, activate the domain, come back and maintain the label. Any sequence I can follow. Right. So I'll give the domain here. In the earlier case, the data element name and domain name were same. It can be same or it can be different. Here I'll give it as something ZEMP desig. I don't know whether this domain is available or not. What is a domain? A domain is a reusable dictionary object which stores the technical properties of the field like data type and what? Size. So when I press enter, if the domain is already available, I'll get the data type and size. I'll press enter. It is saying no domain is available. So let us double click and create and activate the domain. Double click on the domain. Okay, the data element is changed. Do you want to save before exiting? Yes. Let us save this data element in what? Local object. Domain is not able to create the domain. Yes. Okay, provide some description. Right. In the definition tab, I'll give the data type as something character of 20. I will select the checkbox lowercase so that I can address that case sensitivity issue. Okay, right. And my another requirement is I want to restrict the user to enter only either of the three designation. The designation should be either employee, manager, or supervisor. If I enter other than those three, it should not allow. So how do you restrict that? At the domain level only, at the domain level only, we have the value range tab. In the value range tab, here I can give the fixed values. In the value range tab, I can give the fixed values. So what is the value you want to give? Let me give it as something what employee. Okay. Here I'll give the fixed value as something manager. Okay. I'll give it as something supervisor. So what in the value range tab, in the fixed value section, you give the list of values. Okay. Let me save it. Domain is also a separate object. It is asking me to save. Yeah, I'll save it. Check for the syntax error. Activate your domain. Okay, domain is getting activated. So we are done with the domain creation. Go back. Okay. Now for this data element, I have to maintain the field label. Wantedly, I will not maintain any field label. Let's see whether it allow me or not. I have not maintained any label. I'll try to activate my data element. Check for the syntax, no issues. Activate the data element, go back. So what is that I have done? For employee number, I maintain only medium label. For this data element, I maintain all the 4 labels. For this data element, I have not maintained any label. It's my wish. Done. So I'm done with the table fields creation. What is the next setting you have to give? As usual in the technical settings, we have to give the data class and what? Size category. So I'll click on the button, technical settings, data class. I want to create this table for storing master data. So I'll classify the data class as APPL0, which indicates what? Master data. Your table will go and sit in master schema. Size category. What is the initial amount of memory that you want to allocate? I'll go for 0. Save your technical settings. Come back. Then we have to provide what? Enhancement category. Otherwise, it will give warning. How do you provide the enhancement category? What is the purpose of enhancement category? As of now, I've created the table with 4 columns. In near future, I should able to alter my table. I should able to add additional fields. I should able to modify the data types of what? Existing fields. So the table should be flexible enough for that alteration. So what kind of alteration you want to allow in the near future, that is controlled by what? Enhancement category. So I'll choose extras, enhancement category menu item, not classified, select an enhancement category. I'll go for what? Can be enhanced character type or numeric. I can choose any of them. Done. Okay. So save it. I have to give the primary key. So check for the syntax error. What is that? Specify a primary key. This is the client dependent table. So in client dependent table, generally you'll have minimum 2 primary keys. If I make only MINDT as primary key, save it. It is allowing me. Check for the syntax error. Activate your table. Now, can anyone tell me if I leave the table like this with only MINDT as primary key, what will happen? If I make only MINDT as primary key, what will happen? Anyone?
Any user can access means 810 and also access.
No. MINDT will store the client number. So we are working in 800 client. So if you insert the record in 800 client, it will store the client number as 800. Yeah, any other answers? If I leave the table like this, what happens? Anyone? Okay, so I've activated the table. Let's see what happens. I want to insert some records. Observe this carefully. Before I generate the table maintenance, I'll go to, we have the provision to insert the data directly in. As an ABAP consultant, since we know the ABAP, we know the navigation. So in SC level only, I'll choose utilities, table contents, create entries. What is the client number? It's showing 800. Okay, I'll give some employee number. I'll give some employee name. I'll give a designation. So you can see the designation. I can enter any of these values. Okay, and you can see in whatever case I entered, that case will be retained. I'll save it. Database record successfully created. So if I go to the table contents, yes, I got what? One record. Okay, let me try to insert one more record. Utilities, table contents, create entries. For the second record also, it will try to insert the same client number 800. I'll give some employee number 4. I'll give some employee name. I'll give some designation. Okay, if I try to save it, it is giving a message. A data record with the specified key already exists. What is the primary key field in the table? MANDT. So already we have the first record with the client number as 800, and primary key cannot accept duplicate values. So it is trying to insert the second record also with the same client number 800. So this is the issue you'll have. Means in client dependent tables, if you make only MANDT as primary key, what is the problem? Maximum I can maintain only one record, which is of no use. Am I clear? If I try to insert the second record, for the second record also it will try to insert the same client number, but primary key column cannot accept duplicate values. That's why it is giving me what? Error. Am I clear? That is the reason. You take any standard tables also, any standard client dependent tables, you'll have minimum two primary key fields. If you are focused, if you see this K11 table, we have MANDT and customer number as what? Primary key field. So that it checks for the combination. So here also, let me make employee number also as what? Key field. Done. Save it. Check for the syntax error. Right? Activate your table. The combination of more than one primary key, we call it as composite key. Composite key means more than one primary key. Done. I've activated the table. Now you can see utilities, table contents, create entries. I'll give the number as something 3, some employee name, and some what? Designation. Okay, I'll save it. What is saying? Database record successfully created. I will give 82. I'll give something. I'll give some designation. Okay, I'll give 9. I think 9 is already there. So 809 combination is already there. Now it should not accept, I think. If it is already there, it will not accept. So when I save it, what is saying? A data record with the specified key is already existing. Okay, so if you go to the table, okay, this is the available data. So it checks for the combination 802, 803, 809. So what is the summary? In client dependent tables, you will have minimum what? 2 primary key fields. If you make only MANDT, that is client field as primary key, it is the table is of no use. I can maintain only one record for the whole table, which is not appropriate. Right? So we are done with table creation by using what? Data elements and domains. Any questions? Right. So for this table also, yes,
Sir, can we use one domain for multiple data elements?
yes, no problem. If you want the same technical properties, I can use, no issues. Same domain can be attached to any number of data elements across the tables, not only same table, anywhere in the SAP system. Data elements also I can attach to multiple fields in SAP system. So they're all reusable. Right. So for this table also, let us try to generate the table maintenance. Why we have to generate? Because end user has to maintain the table. So let us generate the table maintenance. So before generating the table maintenance, what are the things we require? Authorization group. So authorization group, I can give it as ampersand NC ampersand. Function group, yesterday we created one function group. I can use the same function group. Okay, right? So, and I'll give the maintenance type now as 2-step. Yesterday I gave the maintenance type as 1 step. Now I'll give it as 2-step. So how do we generate the table maintenance? Within the table itself, choose the menu utilities, table maintenance generator. Utilities, table maintenance generator. Yeah. Authorization group for practice purpose. Let us choose what? Ampersand NC ampersand. Without authorization group, function group. Function group. What is the function group here? Z. What is the function group like Z830TM F group? Yeah, this is a function group which we created yesterday. And yesterday we have chosen the maintenance step as one step. Only one screen got generated called as overview screen. Now I'll choose the maintenance step as two step. Two step means what? Two screens get generated, overview screen and single screen. So instead of we proposing the screen numbers, I want SAP to propose a screen number. So I'll choose two step here. On the application toolbar, I'll click on the button what? Find screen numbers. I'll click on the button find screen numbers. Propose the screen number, continue. It has proposed what 2 and 3. Why 2 and 3 means I use the same function group yesterday also. Na? Yesterday it is already proposed one screen number as 1. That's why it is following 2 and 3 now. Done. So after proposing the screen number, let us click on the create button on the application toolbar so that it starts generating the table maintenance. I'll save it in the local object. Yeah. Request completed without errors. That's all. So we are done with the table maintenance generator. Now I can start maintaining this table. Na? How do you maintain the table? By using what? SM30, or you create the T code for this SM30. So I'll go to SM30. Right. What is the table name? Yes, Z830 underscore what? EMP. Provide the table name. Click on what? Maintain button. Yeah, I'm not getting that message. Table is cross client. Yesterday, the table was client independent, so I got that message. This table is client dependent, na? So I didn't got any message like cross client. Done. And you can see here, this is your what overview screen where I can view the data, I can delete, I can modify. So I can say I got the labels here. Na? Employee number I got, employee name I got, and for designation, I have not maintained any label at the data element level. That's why I got it as plus symbol. Understood? This is employee name. Acha. For employee number, I think I gave only medium label. So what is the label I'm getting here? Employee number. Here, I think I got this is what? What is this? This is long, I think so. Long, I think so. Okay, done. I'll click on new entries. I'll get another screen. This screen is what? Overview screen. How do you check the screen number? System status. What is the screen number? It is showing here 2, I think, which is nothing but overview screen. Screen number is what? 2. Okay. I'll click on new entries. It opens another screen called as what? Single screen. What is the screen number here? 3, I think. System menu status. What is the screen number here? 3. And you can see here also I got the same label. Same medium label is picking all the place. Here I got a different label here. Na? Understood? For employee name, in the previous screen I got EMPLOY name. It is picking the long label. Here it is picking what? Medium label. So at different screens, it is going to pick up what different labels. In case if you are providing different labels. If you are providing only one label, in all the places it will flash what? Same label. And for designation, I didn't got anything because I have not maintained any labels. So I'll give the employee number here. I'll give 19. I'll give the employee name something. Understood? So you can see I gave M in uppercase, rest of the cat is in lowercase. So you'll retain that. Employee designation, I'll give supervisor, I'll save it. What happened? Data is saved. So if you go back, you'll get all those records. Right? If you want to modify, I can modify here. Pawan Kumar. I'll save it. If you want to delete, yesterday we have seen all this thing. I'll choose this, click on what? Delete enter. Yes, it got deleted. Number of deleted is what? 1. Save it. Right? And if you want to create T code for this table maintenance, same process what we have done yesterday. We are going to bypass this screen of SM30. So what is the name of this field? View name. If you press F1, I'll put the cursor in this field. If you press F1, understood? If you press F1, if I go to what? Technical information, what is the screen field name? View name, view name. And what is the function code of the maintain button? UPD, I think, nothing but update. Huh? So when I press F1, I got it as what? UPD, nothing but update. Done. Clear? So how do you create the T code? SE93. We already discussed it. I'll give the T code name as yesterday I gave Z830E. I'll give it as Z830EM. I'll give it as Z830EM, or I'll give it as Z830_E. Create. Okay, I'll provide some description. T code for table, some description. What is the radio button you have to choose? Transaction with what? Parameters. Continue. Yeah, for which transaction you are trying to create the T code? For table maintenance. What is the T code of table maintenance? SM30. Right? Select the checkbox what? Skip initial screen. As usual, you'll select these three checkboxes now. Select the three checkboxes. Name of screen field. What is the name of the screen field? View name. If you don't get this F4, directly type it. View name. What is the name of that table name? Z830 underscore what? EMP. Z830 underscore EMP. Then what is the function code of the maintain button? UPD. Na? So here it should is update. Set this update to what? X. Set the update to what? X. Done. Save it. That's all. The T code is getting saved. What is the name of the T code? Z830 underscore E. Now I can go to SM30, or I can directly run the T code what? Z830 underscore E. In the command field, I'll give Z830 underscore E. Yes, I got this. Employee number, employee name, and what? This new entries. Right? So this is the advantage of creating the table fields by using what? Data elements and domains. What are the advantages? At the data element level, I can maintain different labels. That labels will appear in all the screens wherever the data element is referred, and I can impose the validations on the table data, and we can address that uppercase issue for the character fields. Yeah, any questions, please?
Sir,
Yeah, Rohit.
while creating T code for this table maintenance, we have created that two field mandatory at T code creation. In update, there is short form UPD. Instead of UPD, we have put update long form. I- i- is it possible to put only UPD?
If it is accepting, you put it. Okay.
Okay.
If it is not accepting, you have to give update. When I browse that, it is clearly showing update. Na? That's why I give update. Okay. But when we collected the function code, it is showing it as UPD. So you try to give UPD. If it is allowing, fine. If it is not allowing, go for update. Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions, others? Okay. Right. So now my question is, I want to give heading for this designation. How to give it now? In the table maintenance, I am unable to see the heading for this third column. I want to give the heading now. What to do? Anyone? Yes, what to do? Anyone? Hope everyone is active.
We have to enter field label.
Where we have to enter field label?
in data element.
Good, good. Okay. Yeah, one second, just hold on. Okay, so see here, I have to maintain field label at data element level so that it will appear here. That is what is our understanding, right? Okay. So how do I do it now? I need to know the data element name now. So if I go to the table directly, okay, what I can do, what is the data element name? Z employee desig, right? I can double click on this data element, Z employee desig. It will take the control to data element. Here I can give the field label. So like this I can do, like this I can open, or else if you know the data element name, directly open the data element from here. Data element is also a individual separate object, na? So I can operate separately. Choose the radio button data type. What is the data element? Z employee desig. Z employee desig. Am I clear? I can open through the table or open the data element directly. So this is my data element. I'll click on what? Change mode. It has opened what data element. Yeah, what I'll do now, as part of this data element, I'll go to label. I'll give only medium label. I'll give it as designation. It's my wish. I can maintain different labels or only one label. This label will appear in all the places. So I'm giving designation. Since I modified my data element, it is save it first. It is showing inactive. Check for the syntax. Activate this. Right? So what is happening here? I modified something at the data element level. I modified something at the data element level, and this data element is used as part of one of the field here. Na? It is used as part of one of the field here. Done. So let's see whether it will affect in the table maintenance or not. What is the T code I created? Z830 underscore E, or you can go to SM30. But if I go to SM30, again I have to give the table name and click on the maintain button. That is the reason. Anyhow, we created the T code, so I'll say Z830 underscore E. Right? I'll go inside. Yeah, is it showing that? In the overview screen, it is not showing. I'll click on new entries. In the single screen also it is not showing. Still it is showing it as plus. So I have done some changes at my data element level. What is the change I have done? I modified what? I maintained some field label, but that field label is not affecting in my table maintenance. So can anyone tell me what I have to do? In spite of maintaining the label at the data element level, it is not reflecting in my table maintenance. What I need to do? Anyone? Yes, anyone? Vasanti, Jyoti, Swapna, Nandini, Bhavani, Anubhav, Rohit, Sajat, Sai.
So maybe we have to create another T code because we have changed the field label.
Why we have to create the T code? It is for the same table maintenance only, na? Yeah. What you have to do is, yeah. Any other answers, others? So what you have to do is, you have done some changes at the data element level. That changes will not reflect the existing table maintenance. What are the changes you have done at the data element level or at the domain level? Those changes will not reflect the existing table maintenance. So what we have to do, we have to delete the existing table maintenance and regenerate the table maintenance. So what I'll do is, I'll go to ABAP dictionary SC11, right? This is my table. Okay, already for this table we have generated the table maintenance now. Utilities, what is this? Table maintenance generator, which is already generated. So I'll go to table maintenance generator screen. It is already generated, so that's why we have the delete button here. I'll click on what? Delete. I'll click on delete. Open the existing table maintenance, click on delete button. It is asking for some check boxes. Select everything here. Select all the check boxes, right? Continue. The request completed without error. So now I got back the create button. So before, without creating directly here, I'll just go back once, activate your table once. Understood? So what I did here, I deleted the existing table maintenance. After deleting, just come back, activate your table once. Now you regenerate. I'll choose utilities, table maintenance generator. Yeah, authorization group is ampersand NC ampersand function group. What is the function group? Z830 TMF group. I'll go for what? Two-step. I want SAP to propose the screen numbers. I'll choose propose screen number. Again, it has generate 2 and 3 because earlier we have deleted na 2 and 3. Click on what? Create button. It is regenerating the table maintenance. Request completed without errors. I'll go back. Better you activate the table also once. Okay, now you run the T code. So what I did here, I have done some changes at my one of the data element level. What is the change I have done? I modified, I maintained some label, or I might have done some other changes, like I might have modified the domain, or I might have modified the data types, I might have increased or decreased the size. So those changes will not reflect the existing table maintenance. In order to reflect, what you have to do, delete the existing table maintenance and regenerate. Now let me run the T code Z830 underscore E, or you go to SM30. Right, so now you can see I got the label what? Designation. I'll click on new entries. In the single screen also I got designation. So what is the thumb rule here? Any changes you make at the data element level or at the domain level will not reflect the existing table maintenance. In order to reflect those changes, we have to regenerate the table maintenance. So in the real time in the project, these things will happen very frequently. Initially, you might have created the table with some columns, with some data types, some labels. After 6 months, after 1 year, or after a few days, customer will say that you don't want that heading, you want a different heading. You don't want character, you want integer. You don't want size as 20, you want the size to be 30. So some changes you will ask. So you will do the necessary changes in what? Data elements and domains. Those changes will not reflect the existing table maintenance. So in order to reflect, you have to delete and regenerate the table maintenance. Yeah, any questions, please? Hope everyone is active. Okay, right. So we understood how to create the tables by using direct data types or by using data elements and domains. We understood the process of generating the table maintenance and regeneration, all those things. Okay. Now let us go for creating a global structure. Creating a global structure. Earlier, we have created the local structure. Na? We used to create the local structure. Local structure means you will create it within the program. And we have seen multiple syntaxes for creating the structure. Na? Data, begin of, end of, or we use types keyword. All those are local to the program. Now, Let us go for database structure. Database structures are global. They are stored in the what? Database. So what I want is, just like table fields, the structure fields also we can create either by using direct data types, or I can create by referring to what? By referring to what? Domains. So I'll go for creating the data elements and domains. I'll go to ABAP dictionary. So what is our agenda now? I want to create a global structure. So what you have to choose? Choose the radio button what? Data type. Choose the radio button data type, and here you provide the structure name. I'll give the structure name as something Z joining details. Z joining details. Some structure name. Okay. Choose the radio button data type. Provide the structure name. I gave the structure name as Z joining details. Right? Z joining details. I'll click on create. When I click on create, it is asking what you want to create, a data element or a structure or a table type. I'll go for what? Structure. What is a structure? Basically collection of what? Different types of fields. What is the difference between a database table and a structure? Database table will hold the data. Structure doesn't hold any data. So I'll choose what structure, continue. Right, provide some description. Some description I'll give joining detail structure. Yeah. So here you have to give the component, nothing but the field name. I'll give the field name as something JDate, joining date. Okay, typing method. Okay, choose what? Types. Choose types. And here also, just like table, I can go for what? Predefined type, or I can go for what? Component type. Component type is nothing but data element here. Understood? I can go for predefined type, I can use the data type, or else better we go for data element. So in the table level, directly show it as data element. Here it is showing it as what? Component type. So what I want to create this field for storing the date. So at the program level, if you want to create a date variable, how do you create? Data X type T. If you want time, you'll say data Y type T. Date and what? Time. Okay. So here what I can do, I can go for what? Data type, and I can choose the data type as what? DATS. DATS, date field, year, month and date. I can choose this. If I press enter, I got the length as 8. But I don't want to create by using direct data type. I'll go for what? Data elements. I'll choose component type. Instead of me creating my own data element, what I'll do, I'll go for the standard data element given by SAP. Just like in the earlier case, we have seen the standard data element MAN DT. Na? Here also, I'll try to refer to the standard data element DATUM, nothing but datum. It is not starting with Z or Y. So you have to understand that as what? Standard data element. If I press enter, what is that I got? DATS. If I double click on this data element, okay, 1 second, please. Yeah. So you can see here, it has taken the control to the standard data element which is created by SAP. They have created this data element by referring to a domain. Here, data element name and domain name are same. What is the data they give? DATS. Okay. And in the field level, they maintain some 3 labels. All the labels they gave it as same. Done. So I need not disturb this. Right. I want one more field. What is that? J time. I'll say types. I'll give the standard data element UGIT. Okay, I'll give the standard data element UGIT. I'll press enter. What is that I got? Data type is what? TIMS. Okay, that's all. So just like while creating the table, you'll give the enhancement category. Na? Here also, we have to give the enhancement category. So save it. Check for the syntax error. It is saying enhancement category for the table is missing. How do you give the enhancement category? Extras enhancement category. What is the meaning of enhancement category? As of now, we have created the structure with the 2 fields. At later point of time, I should able to enhance this structure. I should able to add the additional fields I should be able to modify the data types of existing fields. So what kind of enhancement you want to allow? So I'll go for what can be enhanced. Anything I can use. I'm comfortable with this character type or numeric. Continue. That's all. Okay. So save it. Check for the syntax error. Activate your structure. Okay. So we are done with what? Structure. Now this structure I can use in the program also. How do we use it in the program? Suppose you'll say data begin of EMP. Already we have seen include structure. Na? At that time we include the local structure. Now I'll say include structure in the program if you want to include. Include structure. What is the structure name? Z joining details. Okay, like this I can create the what structure. I can include the structure. I can include some fields if you want. Employee number, type I, done. Okay, like this. Okay, it will check for this structure in the current program. If it is not there in the current object, it will check for this structure in the database. You know, it is available. Na? So whether it is a local structure or global structure, how do we include? By using the statement what? Include structure. So first it will check whether it is available locally. If it is not available locally, it will check globally in the database. Yes, it is there in the database. Like this, we can include this global structure in your program. Done. So we are done with the structure creation. I can include that in the our programs by using the same keyword include structure. Any questions so far?
Sir,
Yes, I.
sir, if I create a local structure with the same name as this, will it show error? Because
No,
already it is
because
existing.
no. It is always a preference is given to the local structure. That's why in your program itself, you might have created one local structure with the same name. It will not give any error. I may create some fields here, whatever it is. So if I say end of so and so, so first it checks for this include structure locally. If it is available locally, it will include all these fields in the current structure. If it is not available locally, it will check for this in the database. If it is not there in the database also, it will give what error. But locally also I can create what? A structure with the same name, no problem. We can. Clear, Sai?
Yes, sir, clear.
Yeah. Any other doubts, others? Hope everyone
Sir,
is active. Yes, I.
in typing method, we have other two typing
Yeah,
methods.
yeah. We'll see. We'll
Or
see.
what they are.
We-
Okay.
Going forward, whenever required, we'll see. Okay. When you come to object oriented, when you're referring to interface or class, we'll be using this. Okay. Till that time, just use types. Okay. Right. Okay, so we created the structure. What is the structure name? Z joining details. And we understood that this structure we can include in the programs by using what keyword? Include structure. Now my requirement is I want to include this structure in the tables. I want to include this structure in the database tables or inside other global structures. I can do it. Suppose yesterday we created a table Z830 EMP. Na? In this, I created three fields or three fields with direct data types. So in this particular table, I want to include. So how do I include? Open that existing table in change mode. What I can do, why I'm including here? Because in this table, I want those two fields, JDate and JTime. Instead of creating those fields separately, any of those fields are available in the structure. Na? I can include the whole structure. Suppose if your structure is having 10 fields, out of 10 fields, if you want to use only 8 fields, at that time we should not include that structure. You have to create those 8 fields separately here. You have to include the structure only if you are interested in what? All the fields of the existing structure. So I'll choose this table. I'll open in change mode. So how do I include now? In the field level, In the field level, I'll say dot include. Dot include. Understood? In the field level, we use dot include, and in the data element level, we'll include that structure name. What is that structure name? Z joining details. Z joining details. Understood? Press enter. Done. It is showing it as stru, which indicates what structure. So save your table, check for the syntax error, activate this particular table. Right? So overall, this table contains how many fields now? 5 fields. If you open it in display mode, yeah, you can see employee number, employee name, designation. This blue color indicates the fields of the included structure. It is showing it as 6 here because it is counting the dot include also, but actually we have only got 5 fields. Understood? So now what we have done, we have done some changes to the table. Na? What is that? We have included some additional fields in the form of structure. Okay, these fields will not be available in the existing table maintenance. Yesterday we generated the table maintenance and we created the T code. Na? What is the T code? Z830E. Z830E. Okay, so Z830, if I go inside this client independent table, you can see here we have only one screen here. It is it showing the columns here? No, it is not showing those columns. If I click on new entries, it is not showing those columns. So same story here also. What is that? I have done some changes to my table. What is that? I have added some additional fields in the form of include structure. Those changes will not reflect what? Existing table maintenance. What I have to do? Delete and recreate. So I'll go to the yesterday's table. What is the table? Z830MP. In this table only we have included in a dot include. Okay, you can observe here some fields are created by using direct date type, and the structure fields are created by using what? Data elements. It's my wish. So I'll go to utilities, table maintenance generator, right? It is already there. I'll just delete this. Select everything, continue. The existing table maintenance will be deleted. Okay, go back. Better activate the program once. Yes, it is activated. Now you regenerate. Not program, table. Activate the table once. Now you regenerate. Utilities, table maintenance generator. Yeah, function group. What is that? Z830 TMF group. I want only one step because we have created only one step. I'll go for what? Find screen numbers, propose the screen numbers. What is the screen number? One, it seems. Click on what? Create. It is creating the regenerating the table maintenance. Request completed without what? Errors. So if you run the T code or you go to SM30 Z830E, yes, it is showing you what? Date and time now. Now it is showing date and time. Clear? Similarly, I can include that structure in another table also now. Not only in another table, in another structure also I can include structure within the structure. So let me open today's table. What is the today's table? Z830 underscore EMP, which has got some 4 columns, I believe. Here also I want to include. I want to include at the end only. So I'll say dot include. Dot include. What is that structure name? Z joining details. Press enter. Right. Save your table. Check for the syntax. Activate your table. Understood? So now my table contains how many columns? 6 columns. 4 plus 2. It is showing 7 because it is counting dot include also. But these fields will not be available in what? Existing table maintenance. What is the T code? Today we created Z830 underscore E. Na? Z830 underscore E. Continue. Okay, so anyhow, this is, it will not show here. If I click on new entries, here also it is not showing. So what you have to do? Delete the existing table maintenance and regenerate. So same process. Go to SC11, open your table, choose utilities, table maintenance generator, delete the existing table maintenance. existing table maintenance is deleted, right? I'll go back. Better activate once. Understood? Activate and then come back. Don't try to do immediately there only. You may have some issues. So to avoid that headache, better come back, activate once, then you go inside. Utilities, table maintenance generator. Yeah, I want to go for what is the function group? Z830 TMF group. I'll go for two-step. Find screen numbers. I want SAP to propose the screen numbers. Click on create. Request completed without errors. Better activate the table once. Now you run the T code. What is the T code? Z830 underscore E. It will not show that additional fields in the single screen. Sorry, it will not show that in the overview screen. Now if I click on new entries, it will show it here. Date and time. Here also, if you want, you have to select this, click on what? Details. Click on details, it will show that. Understood? So what is the overall summary? Whenever you do any changes to the data element or domain, those changes will not reflect what? Existing table maintenance. You have to regenerate. Similarly, if you add additional fields in the table or if you modify the existing fields in the table, again those changes will not reflect the existing table maintenance. We have to regenerate. So the summary is, for every small change we do at the data element level or at the domain level or at the table level, in order to reflect those changes, you have to regenerate the table maintenance. Okay, so this is how we create the global structure. Once a global structure is created, I can use it locally within a program, as well as I can include it in what? Other tables or other structures by using what? Dot include. Yes, any questions, please? So in this ABAP dictionary, we have seen 4 dictionary objects so far. What are they? Database tables, data elements, domains, and what else? The global structures, nothing but dictionary structures. Any questions? Okay, so tomorrow also we shall have the class at same time 6:30. Hope it should be fine with everyone. Tomorrow morning same time 6:30,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay. So practice this. I'll try to share this recording in the next 1 hour only. Try to practice. We'll continue this discussion tomorrow, same time, 6:30 in the morning. Okay? Challenge. Thank you, everyone. We'll meet tomorrow at 6:30.